So, a couple weeks ago, I made a video where I played the guitar for you. And, I was hoping you'd see how far I've come and, like, the progress I've made. And, you'd be inspired. And...
do you ever feel like breaking down? Do you ever feel out of place? Like somehow you just don't belong.
And you're inspired. You know what they say, it's not about how you get there, it's that you get there. So then a couple days later, Big Smoke messaged me on Discord, joined today, and said, have you ever heard of the Shaggs? So I looked them up and I listened to their most popular song. It's pretty jazzy. It was like a little experimental, so it wasn't really for me, so I clicked off. And then I saw that Alpha Media had made a video about them saying that was the
worst album I've ever heard.
And I was like, what? Basically, their story's pretty similar to the Jackson 5. They're a family band from the 60s who were forced into the industry by their dad. But the only difference was that none of them knew how to play instruments. But their dad's mom was a fortune teller who had predicted that his daughters would become world famous musicians. He decided to pull his daughters out of school and force them to play at local venues, and eventually got them some studio time where they made this.
My pal's name is Foot, he always likes to roam. My pal's name is Foot, I never find him home.
They made the album, sold no copies, and then everyone moved on with their lives. But since then, their albums started being discovered in old record stores, and they gained a cult following. Frank Zappa said that they're better than the Beatles. Kurt Cobain said that their album's in his top 5 favorite of all time. So yeah, I started looking into them, and on their Wikipedia page, their genres were listed as garage rock, proto-punk, and outsider music. And what is that? The genre was popularized by Erwin Chused in the 1990s with his book, Songs in the Key of Z. It's funny. And Wikipedia says, outsider music is music created by self-taught or naive musicians. The term is usually applied to those who exist outside of the music establishment or exhibit childlike qualities. So yeah, I was kind of expecting to find more music like the Shaggs. And I did. A couple of my favorites are BJ Snowden, who loves Canada.
And Canada, they never will be me.
And then Wesley Willis, who loves McDonald's.
McDonald's is a place to rock.
Wesley Willis actually ended up gaining a sizable cult following in the 90s.
I want to say, Wesley, there's a church dedicated to you in Canada. Have you seen this?
And BJ Snowden gained a bit of a cult following in Canada.
Canada by B.J. Snowden.
B.J. Snowden loves Canada, so much so she's written a beautiful song about it.
But yeah, both those artists are kind of like what I was expecting to find in the same genre as the Shaggs. But what I wasn't expecting to find, Daniel Johnston.
True love will find you in the end.
He gained a cult following in Austin, Texas in the 80s, because when he was working at McDonald's, he'd sneak cassette tapes with his original artwork into people's meals.
I had lost my mind.
And at the time, he'd record his album using a tape deck, but he didn't have a master version.
So he had to sing the entire tape from beginning to end to hand you a copy. Go back home, start again, song by song, fill up the tape, hand another person a copy.
And someone on YouTube commented, imagine finding this in your meal and then going home and this is what was on it.
Try to remember, but my feelings can't know for sure.
But yeah, he started gaining a following, and then he decided that he wouldn't play piano anymore. He'd only play guitar because all his favorite artists played guitar, but he didn't actually know how to play guitar. And then in 1985, he was featured on MTV.
My name is Daniel Johnston. This is the name of my tape. It's Hi, How Are You? And I was having a nervous breakdown when I recorded it.
And I was out in San Marcos.
Not long after that, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, and he ended up spending the next 15 years in and out of mental hospitals. But during that time, he also released his first studio album, 1990. It was supposed to be 1989, but he didn't finish it in time, so it was 1990.
Your picture.
Kurt Cobain, again, started wearing a t-shirt with his album artwork on it, and that's when his music really started spreading. And nowadays, Daniel's healthier. He's been covered by big bands like the Flaming Lips, Beck, Tom Waits, so he's had a pretty decent career. And what I find amazing about his music, and I think the thing that really resonates with people, isn't his songwriting or his musical talent, it's his sincerity. And it's the same thing with all the outsider musicians. Like, they really believe in and are really passionate about their music. And I can really relate to them. Well, I might be one of them, but I can relate to them too. But you know, I still love writing songs and making music. And what I love about these guys is they have zero self-consciousness about their art. They just have to get it out there. And you know, I hope to be like them, you know?
Something